Hey, what's up, guys? I am back with another adventure, and today's adventure brings me to Mount Airy, North Carolina, the hometown of Andy Griffith. So, I'm just gonna walk around, check the town out, and tour this place, explore it. So, hey, follow me. Barbershop, Mayberry Barbershop, Floyd's. Appears to snappy lunch.
Excuse me.
Alright, go ahead. Hey guys, I'm coming up on the Mayberry Courthouse. From the TV show, but we can go inside and look. There's the Mayberry Courthouse. Locked from the show. Alright guys, let's take you inside. It's almost just like the TV show. Andy's desk. Just of the piece. There's where Barney always sit. Over here's well, not the same water cooler, but it's a water cooler. The jail cells, like it was in the TV show. Over there stands Barney. Barney 5. Well, they even still have the key still hanging here between the cells. Now this cell would be Otis cell. Otis, that's his name. Otis.
There's the thing.
Which, as you can see, there's a picture of him over there on the wall.
This one had a record player. There's the key.
There's the old furnace that they had. This is pretty awesome. Mayberry. Alright guys, I'm gonna move on. Here's Wally's tow truck. Right there is Wally's gas station. And over here, we've got the Darling's old truck. The old Darling's. Back here will be a replica of the Darling's homestead. Of course, there's a couple guitars they're on the porch. Of course, they play music. This is a replica. And here it looks like them sitting inside the old cabin, and they were playing some music. Eastern girl. And here's something you never see anymore, an old phone booth. It still has a door on it. It closes and shuts. Thing of the past. An old payphone booth. Here's in front of Wally's gas station. Another tow truck. Let's see how much things would cost back then. Batteries are $12.50, oil change $4.50. Look like things were pretty cheap back then. There's another old tow truck, a hand crank. Here's Wally's gas station. Check this out. You're gonna be able to take a tour, a ride in a squad car. So come along with me, guys.
But Andy put a lot of his hometown in that show, the way it looked when he was a young man. Andy was born on June the 1st, 1926. He was an only child, named Andrew Samuel Griffith. That was his real birth given name. Andy was married 3 times, but he never fathered any children with either marriage. We don't think Andy could bear children. Don't think Andy could have children. 3 women that couldn't would be pretty rare. But Andy wanted children because he adopted 2 with his first wife. They got a little boy and girl, 3 and 4 years old, that were brother and sister. They kept them together, raised them like they were their own.
Okay.
The girl is still living. She's 65 years old, lives in Denver, Colorado. She'll be here tomorrow if she's not going to get here this evening, but she comes to Mayberry days every year. She's a real nice young lady. She doesn't look her age at all. And Andy's adopted son is no longer living. He passed away when he was 30-some years old.
Yeah.
Now, Andy made over 20 movies in his life. I think he made 22. He played mean men in about half of them. His very first movie, in 1957, he played one of the meanest characters you've ever seen. The movie was called A Face in the Crowd. If you've never seen that movie, see it. You just won't believe what a mean role Andy Griffith played in that movie.
Alright.
His next movie was No Time for Sergeants. That's the one most people have seen. Andy and Don Knotts were in that movie together. Andy Griffith and Don met in New York City. Both men had left their hometown to go to New York to try to get into show business. But Don wasn't from here. Don was born in Morgantown, West Virginia. He was born in 1924. Don Knotts was 2 years older than Andy Griffith. His real name was Jesse Donald Knotts. So just like Andy Griffith, he used his real name throughout his whole career. Don was one of three children in his family. He was also married 3 times. Him and Andy both had younger wives the 3rd time. Andy's 3rd wife was 26 years younger than Andy, but they were married 30 years until Andy passed away. He said many times that was his happiest marriage out of the three.
Well,
Don's third wife, 22 years younger than him. They were married for about 8 years until Don passed away. Don Knox died first in 2006 from lung cancer. Don was a heavy smoker. Andy died in 2012, congestive heart failure. And right over there is the first thing we show everybody. We're going to take you right up to the front of the biggest granite quarry in the whole wide world.
now, I didn't know he was a smoker.
Don lit up one cigarette on the show. You know, Andy was smoking once in a while.
Right.
Don, you look at his shirt pocket, you can see a pack of cigarettes. You can see the print of it on camera.
I'll check that out next time.
Yeah, next time you see him, you look in that pocket.
That's a lot I miss.
Now, Andy Griffith's daddy worked here for about 4 years. But this was hard, dangerous work, and he left here and went into the furniture factory and built furniture for 15 years. But you can see how big this thing is.
That's massive.
It's a mile across right here, a mile wide, almost a mile and a half long. From that left corner where that pile is all the way around to the right is almost a mile and a half.
That's,
But the amazing thing is this place has been in business since 1879.
wow.
They've took a huge amount of stuff out of here, but it's still a mile deep. They've just scratched the top off of it.
Sound like they got a ways to go.
Oh yeah. This and the Great Wall of China is the only two things that they can see from space. They can actually
Well.
see this from space.
That's amazing.
They sell a lot of gravel. They don't make gravel out of everything. They make building blocks, tombstones, curbing. But all the rubble, little pieces, they make gravel. They even sell the dust. I backed up too far. All that big pile right down yonder to my left is dust. Now who buys that? Concrete people. If
Right.
you want stronger cement or concrete, you mix granite dust with it. Now they got new owners coming in October. That's the reason ain't nothing going on now. They've shut it down until about the middle of October. They've had engineers in here working, and they've been pulling out a lot of old machinery that's dilapidated. They're going to put in some new machines and open back up in the middle of October, hopefully with a few more jobs. There was 1,000 men working here in 1900. It was the biggest employer in this whole county. When they shut this place down in June of this year, there was 22 employees.
Well,
They hadn't made no money in 5 years. The company that owned them broke them. Canadian-based company.
so now it is slowly trying to come back.
Yeah. The company that bought them is a pretty well-off outfit in Richmond, Virginia. Luck Stone is the name of it. They got about 6 quarries, and they paid $9 million for that.
My God, that's quite a bit of money.
Well, it's really a bargain for the biggest
Oh, yeah.
quarry in the world.
Yeah.
But if they can't make it work, nobody can.
Well, hopefully it'll kick off.
I hope so. We're real excited about it. At least it'll be something new going on.
We should have their accommodate, I guess.
Yeah. Now, Ronnie Howard was the kid that played Opie Taylor. Ronnie was born in Oklahoma, a little town called Duncan, Oklahoma. When Ronnie was just a 3-year-old boy, his dad moved the whole family to Hollywood, thinking he might get Ronnie into show business. When he did, he really ended up getting both boys into show business. Ronnie's brother, Clint, was born in California. Now, Clint was on the show. He was that little boy with the cowboy suit that carried that peanut butter and jelly sandwich around with him.
Right.
That was Ronnie Howard's real little brother.
Well,
He never spoke a word on the show, but he was in one of Ronnie's movies, Apollo 13. He's been in several other movies, and he's been on TV a lot when he was 10 years old. A show called Gentle Ben about a big black bear, a little cute blonde-headed boy, and that was Clint. Now he's Like Ronnie, he ain't got no hair hardly. They lose their hair.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Ronnie's daddy went bald when he was about 50. And Ronnie's about bald, and his brother is too. Ronnie Howard is worth a lot of money from making movies, not from acting, even though he was a highly successful actor. But he made a killing directing movies. Every movie Ronnie made's been a home run.
Right.
What I've read about Ronnie says he's worth around $800 million.
My goodness.
When Andy Griffith died in 2012, he was worth $83 million. When Don died in 06, he was worth about $35 million. So Ronnie's worth way more than anybody on the show.
Sounds like it.
Aunt B, she was from New York City. Her name was Frances Bobbier. She was part French. She really had a funny way of talking. That accent on the show was really the way she talked. Now, Aunt B never liked playing that role. She didn't like playing a hillbilly housekeeper. She thought she ought to be doing something a little fancier. But it made her rich. She was worth about $25 million when she died. And it made her famous all over the world as Aunt B. She retired and moved to a little town in North Carolina called Silent City, about 90 miles away. Lived all alone in a big 2-story house and collected cats. There was 14 cats living in the house when she died.
My goodness, it's quite
That's
a bit.
awful, ain't it?
Yeah, it is. I think she was also known, famous off the show about her pickles.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and her and Andy had some disagreements. Aunt B thought she knew more about doing a show than Andy did because she'd been on Broadway. She'd been a Shakespeare stage actress. But Andy was the boss. Whatever Andy said went, and if Andy didn't like it, it didn't happen. So him and Aunt B had a few heated disagreements. Now, Gomer and Goober was both from Alabama. They'd never met till they got on the show, but they were raised 100 miles apart. George Lindsay played Goober. He was raised in Jasper, Alabama. Gomer was played by Jim Neighbors. He was raised in Sylacauga, Alabama. And they were not kin. Now, the oldest granite building in town is that one. That was built over 150 years ago. Every piece of stone in that building had to be made by hand. That's the only way they could do it back in those days. That old boy wants me to blow that siren every time he sees me. And this is Main Street. Downtown Mayberry is a real lucky town. Most little towns this size from the south are ghost towns by now. But we've been blessed with a lot of business, a lot of tourism, and Mayberry is really in good shape.
It's a nice little town.
This old big building here was built in 1924. You can see the granite foundation that's been holding it up all that time.
That came from the rock quarry.
Yeah, oh yeah. They say there's over 50 buildings in town built out of it. Some of them are houses, some of them are churches, banks. And straight ahead is probably the best money we've ever spent to honor Andy Griffith. That was painted 4.5 years ago by a magician, is what I call him.
Yeah.
He painted every bit of that with spray paint. Never picked up a brush.
Really?
Yes, sir.
Wow, that's amazing.
Took him almost 3 months to do it. 60-year chunk of Andy's life. From a 23-year-old to an 83-year-old.
That is so amazing.
Can you see the mountain right in the middle?
Yeah.
Pilot Mountain.
Yeah.
That's 10 miles down the road, and that's what Andy Griffith called Mount Pilot.
Right.
He flipped the name because Mount Pilot sounds more like a town, like Mount Airy.
Right.
Right up here on the left, this used to be the biggest granite building in town that was a bank. It's no longer a bank, but that was built in the early 30s. shows that old car. That thing's like new. I mean, it's just like new all over.
You said that was a 1960.
60, yeah.
And this was a
67.
67, the one we're in.
Mm-hmm. There's Barney over there with him. Now right over here on the right, you'll see another mural painted by the same kid that painted Andy's. That's Donna Fargo. She was one of the most famous female country stars ever. She won a Grammy before Dolly Parton or Loretta Lynn either won.
Really?
She
That's
was born
amazing.
and raised about a mile from the quarry. I hope that guy knows that car's getting that back up. That boy painted that was spray paint too. That's unreal.
Yeah, it is. You've done a very good job.
Yes. Now right down here you'll see Floyd's Barber Shop and Snappy Lunch. Two places Andy went to a lot when he was a young man living here in Mount Airy. Floyd's is where he got his hair cut. They've been there 97 years. Andy started getting haircuts there at about 8 or 10 years old. Snappy Lunch, been there since 1923. 3 years before Andy was born. Andy loved hot dogs. That's the reason Matlock eats them. And when he was a 12-year-old boy, he said he could get a hot dog and a drink at Snappy Lunch for a dime. Both of them for a dime.
Cheap back then.
Yeah.
You can't get that now.
No, sir. The Easter Brothers, one of the biggest names in gospel music. They were born and raised here in Mount Airy, and they ran that music store until they passed away. James Easter's wife still runs it today. Over here is a mural showing the Easter Brothers. Now that was painted by a different artist. It ain't as slick as them other two, but it's still pretty good because that's a rough wall.
Yeah, especially
I
that
don't
brick.
think they done that good.
I say they use a lot of paint cans.
Oh yeah. Down here's a World War II memorial built out of granite. It's pretty neat. Every soldier from Surrey County that died in that war is listed on that wall. The one up the hill a little ways with the blue on top is Vietnam. The brick building is where Andy went to grade school for the first 6 years of his education. The Andy Griffith Museum's on the corner there, full of stuff that's really on the shelf. It takes at least an hour to go through. The statues there were put up by TV Land, who owns the Andy Griffith Show now. The Playhouse was the old auditorium where they had assembly and talent shows and stuff. Andy went in the talent show there when he was in 3rd grade. This used to be the playground. Andy Griffith could look right down yonder every day and see Pilot Mountain. See it right over the treetop.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
That may be one more reason why Mount Pilot was mentioned over 100 times on the show. Andy saw it every day, if it was clear.
So basically everything he done on the show reminded him of home.
90% of it really did. Andy's home place was right across from that big blue water tower. Of course, the water tower wasn't there until 1959, I think. Andy lived here until he went away to college. He never lived in Mount Airy again. He came back and looked after his mom and daddy, but he never owned a home or a property here. When he got to making pretty good money, he bought land on the coast of North Carolina. He loved that area. He really loved to fish. And Andy had a home on the coast as long as he lived. And that's the house he died in. He's buried really in the backyard of that house.
Really?
He's not buried in any public cemetery. He told one of his buddies here in Mount Airy, he said, "Andy, are you going to be buried in Mount Airy?" He said, "Absolutely not. I don't want people stomping on my grave making pictures."
Right.
He said, "I'm going to be buried in a private place." So he's buried behind his house. Now, that's the house Andy grew up in. It's a pretty big house, really, but Andy made it bigger. The house ended right there where the porch ends when Andy lived here as a boy. 10 years later, Andy came back and added that big room on the right with all them windows. So his brother didn't have a living room and dining room. Well, Andy didn't do it, but it was his money that he hired carpenters to build it.
Right.
You can stay in that house. It's the only actor's home in the country that you can spend the night in. It's owned by the local Hampton Inn here in Mayberry. Everything in it's 1930s. All the furniture. It looks just like it would have looked when Andy was a boy living here. I don't know what that Jaybird's gonna do.
No idea. That's all right. Everything's still original.
I wonder that house still standing, ain't it?
Yeah,
They
that's
say it was built
amazing.
in 1917.
Wow.
Andy had a cousin that lived in that house, and they were really close, like brother and sister. First cousin. Her name ended up on the show about 40-some times. Juanita, the girl Barney called at the Bluebird Diner, was Andy's cousin's name back here in Mayberry. This guy here, remember Barney up on the street that I hollered at?
Yeah.
This is where he lives. He puts this Halloween display up every year. 26 different characters, I think, that was all on the show. How about this one on the phone pole up here, Mr. McBeavy? Remember him?
Yeah, I remember him. So it's the skeleton of all the people that was on the show.
Yeah. Pretty much all of them. There might be a few he's not got yet, but he says next year there's going to be more.
Still though, that's pretty neat to look at.
Yeah.
That's all right. Very creative.
There's about 7 or 8 down that way. Even the jinx there in the boat. See that hole sprung in it?
Yeah.
Now, Andy used his cousin in the show, her name, but he also used his grandma's name. Andy's grandmother's name was mentioned over 130 times. Every time they pick up the telephone, they say what?
I can't remember.
Sarah.
Sarah.
That
Yeah.
was Andy's grandma's name living here in Mayberry. Her full name was Sarah Taylor Griffith. Taylor was her maiden name. Andy's last name was Taylor, so he used her name in 2 places. One of the funniest men on the show was Otis Campbell. Him and Andy were real good pals, and Otis was played by a man that never drunk a drop in his life. He was a strong Christian. He didn't know what alcohol tastes like, but he knew how to act. And his name, Otis Campbell, came from 2 of Andy's best friends who were policemen here in Mayberry. Otis Brinkley and Keith Campbell. That's where Otis Campbell's name came from.
Well,
They were still cops when the show came on. 25 years they were policemen here in Mayberry. Another one of Andy's cousins, second cousin named Wallace Smith. He ran this service station up here for 6 years when I got in my car. His nickname was Wally, so there really was a Wally, and he really ran a service station here in Andy's hometown.
that's pretty cool.
Bannertown was a little town mentioned about 6 or 8 times on the show. 2 miles out the road is a little community called Bannertown. There's an old restaurant out there that's 90 years old that Andy and his mom and dad ate at several times when Andy was still living here. It's called the Derby. It's one of the best restaurants in town. Real good home cooking at a low price. Service station was built in 1937. Andy was 11 years old.
Huh. That's pretty old then. That's an old place.
Boy, that's a big trike. Thing's quiet, ain't it?
Yeah.
Now that car that just pulled in is the oldest car we got. That's a 61.
61.
The back end of it looks a little bit like a 56 Thunderbird. The one in front of him is 63, and the guy standing beside of that car with that blue shirt on is the man that owns them all.
Okay.
And he does all the mechanic work on them.
Probably easy to work on too.
They are. He's a hot rider. He's always had hot rod cars. He's got 2 Camaros and a Corvette.
Alright guys, everyone, this is going to do it for the video. Hope you enjoyed this. I know I did. Enjoyed taking a tour of in the squad car and taking a walk around this town. It's a great little town. I highly recommend visiting here if you ever get the chance. And like always, thanks for watching.